Greetings, YouTube. There is no voter fraud in America. Repeat it with me. There is no voter fraud in America. 3 million people did not commit voter fraud during the 2016 election. In reality, 3 million Americans voted against the current fascist president. 45 lost the popular vote, and he cannot tolerate that concept. So he has created a commission to go out there and investigate voter fraud. Now, here's some interesting information I discovered recently. I think it was Rick Perry in Florida that tried this during the 2012 election cycle. They took the registry of voters, and then they took a list, which is of people who are known immigrants, who are part of the immigration process to some degree or another. Some of them are trying to go to become citizens, and some of them are not. But they're known people. And they compared that list to the voter registration list to make sure that none of the people that were the immigrants who cannot vote were not in the registration list. They got so many false positives that they had to scrap the idea. Okay? Even a neoconservative politician realized this is such bullshit, we can't use it. Well, guess what, people? That's what the current administration is trying to do on the national scale. They are trying to use that same type of system to figure out who is illegally registered to vote. And what's going to happen is they're going to get false positives. They will then take those false positives and present it to Americans through their propaganda machine on Fox and all the other pundits to show that our voting system is illegitimate. Our voting system does not work. So we must have more draconian laws when it comes to voting. They'll be basing this on bullshit. But they're going to spin it in the media. And the mainstream media is going to go right along with it, just like they have enabled the current fascist state every step of the way. They have utterly failed Americans. There are so few genuine journalists out there. It's heartbreaking. But there are still some. And they know what's going to happen. The experts, who of course all of the GOP base dismiss as meaningless, as irrelevant. They know what's going to happen. Those draconian laws are just going to disenfranchise more people. People that should be allowed to vote won't be allowed to vote because the system that they're going to build on bullshit is going to say, well, that person can't vote. It's that their registration is questionable. When it isn't questionable, when genuine Americans are going to be kicked off the rolls of voters because of this false system they're going to try to put into place. The same type of system that failed in Florida, and we know it failed in Florida, and we know it'll fail again. It'll be so full of false positives. But they don't care. They will build their guillotine on a foundation of sand, and they are not concerned that it is utter crap or how many people die in the process, how many people lose their ability to vote. And as a related note, some Americans are in Colorado, it was like 3,500 people have taken themselves off the registered voting list because they don't want their personal information to go to the federal government. Right now, lots of that information is still available. Your name, your address, your registered party affiliation, and whether you voted or not. Those pieces of information are currently available pretty much everywhere, and they're going to continue to be available. But the current GOP administration wants to go further. Remember the party is small government? Yeah, they want more of your data so they can shove it into the broken machine, which is going to give them false positives, which they will then use as justification for draconian voting laws that we already don't need. The current voter ID laws are bullshit, and we don't need them. We know they're bullshit because as soon as they were put in place, they began to close registration centers, reduce hours, pass laws that prevent people to vote on Sunday, and early voting. This is all about disenfranchising as many minority voters as humanly possible to get as many legitimate voters off the rolls so they can't vote against the GOP. This is about destroying our democracy. This is a rot in the core of the GOP. And they're trying to spread it as far as possible. But taking yourself off the rolls isn't the answer. We need to make sure we vote them out of office. And the only way we can do that is to be registered voters. We can fight the system they're currently trying to put into place, which is based on bullshit and will be used to create more draconian and further horrible anti-voting laws out there. We can fight those, but stay on the rolls. You need to vote. And for anyone out there that believes the bullshit being spewed by 45's administration, I'm going to say it again. And I want you to listen to it and remember it because it's the truth. There is no voter fraud in America.